Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Tom. Today we're going to dive into one of the most creative, greatest years in rock music, 1969. I'm going to talk about my top 25 personal favorites, but I thought I'd mention a few honorable mentions. Skip Spence Orr, first Johnny Winter album, The Progressive Blues Experiment, great record. Isaac Hayes' Hot Buttered Soul, a soul classic with an amazing version of By the Time I Get to Phoenix with a spoken word intro, which is just amazing. An album that doesn't get a lot of love from people, but I love it. Nashville Skyline by Bob Dylan. The Who, Tommy. Zeppelin 1. James Brown, Say It Loud. And Janis Joplin and the Cosmic Blues Band. I got them old Cosmic Blues again, mama. All right, now I'm going to get down to my top 25 personal favorites of 1969. Coming in at number 25 is Jeff Beck's second solo album, Beck-Ola. Maybe not as strong as his first one, Truth, but there's some great material on here. Love Spanish Boots, that kicks ass. Plinth, Water Down the Drain. The Hangman's Knee. Also has this really syrupy kind of piano ballad called Girl from Mill Valley, which doesn't really fit in with the rest of the album. And then there's a couple of Elvis covers, All Shook Up, Jailhouse Rock. Then it ends with Rice Pudding, a real rocker, to end the album on a high note. Number 25, Beck-Ola from Jeff Beck, the late great Jeff Beck. Number 24 is Leonard Cohen's second solo album, Songs from a Room. This too, maybe not as strong as his first album, but it has some absolute standards like Bird on the Wire. A couple of favorites of mine, You Know Who I Am, Lady Midnight, Tonight Will Be Fine. He does a great version of that on the Isle of Wight Festival in 1970. So this comes in at number 24, Leonard Cohen's second album, Songs from a Room. Number 23 is Jefferson Airplane's classic Volunteers album. This is the last album to feature Marty Balin. He left after this album, and they kind of became a different band after that. But this is their last great album. It has, in my opinion, the definitive version of Wooden Ships. We Can Be Together is another great one. My absolute favorite on here is Good Shepherd, with a great solo by Yorma. And then, of course, it has the title track, Volunteers, and then Eskimo Blue Day, which is a great, great slick belter. So coming in at number 23 is Jefferson Airplane's Volunteers. Coming in at number 22 is my favorite Creedence album of 1969, Green River. This has a slew of amazing songs. Let me get my glasses here. We've got the side one in general is just amazing. Green River, Commotion, Tombstone Shadow, Wrote a Song for Everyone. What a great song. And then side two, Bad Moon Rising, Lodi, Cross Tie Walker, Sinister Purpose, and ends with The Nighttime is the Right Time. Great, great album from CCR. Coming in at number 22. Number 21 is King Crimson's debut, In the Court of the Crimson King, the first official prog rock album, just a landmark album. Some amazing songs on here. 21st Century Schizoid Man ends with The Court of the Crimson King. I really like I Talk to the Wind, really soft little tune there, but an absolute milestone in prog rock. Coming in at number 21, King Crimson, In the Court of the Crimson King. Number 20 is Crosby, Stills, and Nash's debut record. Just an almost perfect record. I like this record actually better than Deja Vu. I don't really think they really needed Neil Young. He didn't really add that much to the lineup. I think just with these three guys, it was just enough. Of course, it has Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, Pre-Road Downs, Guinevere, great David Crosby song, has their version of Wooden Ships. I love, is it 49 Bye-Byes? Is that the last song on here? I believe so. And then, of course, it has A Long Time Gone, another great Crosby song. Just a great album from '69, great folk rock, singer-songwriter album. Crosby, Stills, and Nash coming in at number 20. Coming in at number 19 is the debut from Poco, Picking Up the Pieces. This features Richie Furay, formerly of Buffalo Springfield. Also has Jim Messina, George Grantham, and Rusty Young. I think Randy Meisner was in the beginning stages of this album, and he does play on some tracks, but he left during the making of the mixing of the album, I believe. But this is a landmark in country rock, starting off with What a Day. Grand Junction is such a great instrumental, featuring the prowess of Rusty Young and his steel guitar playing. Great songs all over this album. No one really talks about it much, but Poco, in my humble opinion, Poco to me was actually better than the Eagles. I don't know, they just did it for me more than the Eagles in general. So, Picking Up the Pieces coming in at number 19 from Poco. And then we're going to go completely the opposite here. We're going to go for the first Stooges album. Something that is unlike anything that came out in 1969. Something that was about 7 or 8 years ahead of its time. Funny story, when I heard this album for the first time, it was in the early 80s, and it was a record store called Blue Meanie Record Store in Woodland Hills. And I was the only one in this record store, and it was very darkly lit, and they were just cranking this album, right? Then it gets to the song We Will Fall, and it just absolutely freaked me out. That song, I love it now, but I was the only one walking around the store, and they had that song just cranked up, man. It was so creepy. But I love the whole album now. I love side 1, even with We Will Fall, and side 2 with No Fun and Real Cool Time. Great album, great proto-punk classic. The Stooges coming in at number 18. Coming at 17, I'm going to switch gears with the first Almond Brothers album. Great debut from the Almonds. I love their first 2 albums. And no matter how many times I've heard Whipping Post, that song just kicks ass. I love Dreams, Trouble No More. I mean, it's just a great album from start to finish. Kind of the beginning of country rock right here, or should I say southern rock, jam band stuff. Coming in at number, coming in at number 17 is the Almond Brothers debut with, and always love Greg Allman's voice. And of course, Dwight Allman and Diggy Betts, their guitar playing is just absolutely stellar. Coming in at number 16 is probably my favorite Zappa record. And I don't even have a quarter of Zappa's catalog, but I love this record. Love the instrumentals, love his playing. There's so much going on in the songs. It's a great headphone listen. Of course, Peaches and Regalia, Willie the Pimp. I love the first song on side 1, Little Umbrellas. Really cool stuff. Hot Rats coming in at number 16 from Frank Zappa. And then we're going to do some English folk here. Coming in at number 15 is the debut from Nick Drake, 5 Leaves Left. I think the guy never really basically wrote a bad song his entire life. All 3 of his solo albums are flawless. This is probably my least favorite, but it doesn't mean it's a bad album. It's a fantastic record. I think my favorite is probably Brighter Later. But Time Has Told Me, Riverman is so amazing. Saturday Sun, Fruit Tree, Cello Song, all this is just flawless. The guy was, I don't use this term lightly, but the guy was a genius, an absolute genius, songwriter and guitar player. And it's great that people are finally discovering him after, relative obscurity for so many years. So this is coming in at number 15, Nick Drake's 5 Leaves Left. Coming in at number 14 is the 4th album by Love, the album that nobody really talks about a whole lot. I think it's fantastic. The start off song, August, and there's a couple of songs on here that are 2 of my favorite songs on here. I'm With You, the 3rd song on side 1, and Nothing, the 3rd song on side 2. Side 1, I'm With You, side 2, Nothing, are just great ballads. Always See Your Face, which was featured in High Fidelity, ends the album. Just a great album. I'd give this a 4.5 star. And this is the last album for Elektra that Love did. Love for Sale. Number 13 is the last album with Sandy Denny, Fairport Convention, Liege and Leaf, an absolute British folk rock classic. Starting out with Come All Ye. My favorite songs on here, Matty Groves. I love Farewell, beautiful song. Great playing from Richard Thompson. An absolute album that should be included in any collection. And the last album to feature Sandy Denny, and then she went solo. And I think she went to Lindisfarne right after this. So no, wrong. Lindisfarne is not right. Father and Gay, I think, was her project right after this album. So this comes in at number 13, Fairport Convention, Liege and Leaf. And before they became Air Supply, Chicago was an amazing band. This first album is just kicks ass. The horn arrangements are amazing. Terry Kath, such an underrated guitar player. Of course, we've heard the hits on here. Does anybody really know what time it is? One of the great singles from late 69. Beginnings, another great song. Questions 67 and 68. The opening song on side 1, Introduction, is amazing. The only song I really don't like on here is Free Form Guitar on side 3. This is kind of a feedback fest. I'm a Man, it could be my favorite version of I'm a Man, even better than Spencer Davis. The first Chicago album, Chicago Transit Authority, a true classic. If all you've ever heard is the Pete Cetera stuff, I highly suggest picking this up. Were a completely different band at this stage, starting out. They were, it's almost like Hendrix was playing guitar in a jazz band. That's what it sounds like. It's fantastic. So that comes in at number 12. Coming in at number 11 is the first Flying Burrito Brothers album, another landmark in country rock. Of course, it has the classic Hot Burrito number 2, just a heartbreaker of a song. So many great songs, Juanita, Dark End of the Street, just really soulful tunes with Graham Parsons, Chris Hillman. We got Chris Etheridge on here and Sneaky Pete. Really can't go wrong with this. Just a complete flawless record here from 1969. Gilded Palace of Sin by Flying Burrito Brothers. Coming at number 10 is Stand by Sly and the Family Stone. Another just great album, great soul classic. There's a song on here that doesn't get a lot of attention that I just love, and it's called Somebody's Watching You. Love that song. But the whole album is just chock full of just great soul. Stand, Sing a Simple Song. This is just a great party record. Everyday People starts off side 2. Sex Machine, ending it on a positive note with You Can Make It If You Try. Great stuff. Coming in at number 10, Sly and the Family Stone, Stand. And here's an album that really deserves more attention. The Youngbloods, Elephant Mountain. Most people know about the Youngbloods only from their hit Get Together, but this as an album is just fantastic. Starting out with Darkness, Darkness, has this fiddle starting it off. There's a great, there's a couple of really great instrumentals on Sir Francis Drake. Sunlight is a great folk tune sung by Jesse Colin Young. And at this point in the band, we had Jesse Colin Young on vocals and bass, John Bauer on drums, and Banana is the lead guitarist. Also on side 2, we have it ending with Ride the Wind, kind of a jazz-inflected type of tune. Just a flawless, great album. I highly suggest picking this up if you've never heard it. It's really nothing sounding like it in 1969. Really original. The Youngbloods, Elephant Mountain, coming in at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is the classic jazz fusion album In a Silent Way by Miles Davis. This is a great late night listen on the headphones. There's 2 tracks, Peaceful on side 1, and then side 2, In a Silent Way / It's About That Time. It's just really amazing. I like this album even better than Bitches Brew. It just has this mellow, spacey, incredible feeling when you listen to it. This is coming in at number 8, Miles Davis, In a Silent Way. Great album. Number 7 is another album that doesn't get a lot of attention. It's an album called Street Noise by Brian Auger and the Trinity with Julie Driscoll, one of the great unsung white female singers in Britain. Her vocals are just unbelievably good. Never heard them. This is an album worth picking up if you could still find it. The whole album is kind of a little bit political in certain terms, but They do an amazing version of Light My Fire. There's some great instrumentals by Brian Auger and the Trinity, Tropic of Capricorn. It's a double album, and there seriously is just not one bad tune. A mixture of jazz, folk, gospel. It has it all, and sung by the incredible Julie Driscoll, who later changed her name later on to Julie Tippett. But highly suggest getting this album. Here's a copy here signed by Brian Auger. He played at the Baked Potato back in 2014, and played a couple of songs off this record, and it was just fantastic. So coming in at number 7 is Brian Auger's Street Noise. Fantastic. Number 6, of course, is the classic Let It Bleed by the Stones. What else could be said about this great record? I've always loved Monkey Man. That's a favorite. I love their version of Love in Vain. Of course, Give Me Shelter, the title track. And probably my favorite Keith song, You Got the Silver. Love this album. Coming in at number 6. Number 5 is the third album by Procol Harum, Salty Dog. This could be my favorite Procol album. Fairly highly orchestrated, just beautiful arrangements. The title track is just gorgeous. Great guitar playing throughout by Robin Trower. He really gets his licks in on Crucifixion Lane and Juicy John Pink. There's some great Matthew Fisher, the organ player. He has some great songs on here. Wreck of the Hesperus, Boredom. And then there's just some great songs all the way around. There's a song called Too Much Between Us. Great acoustic song. And then I've mentioned it in other videos, but has probably one of Gary Brooker's greatest vocals ever on all this and more. A definite 5-star album. Sort of prog, sort of blues, sort of everything. Procol Harum, Salty Dog, coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is the third album of the Velvet Underground. Very highly influential record. Coming off the heels of White Light, White Heat, which was just a noise fest. This is completely the opposite. Real reflective, mellow songs. Starting off with Candy Says, What Goes On, number 2. Number 3 is Some Kind of Love, Pale Blue Eyes, beautiful song. Probably one of my favorite Velvet Underground songs, though, is Jesus. Such a beautiful song. Every song on this record is just great. Never really liked the Murder Mystery, but it doesn't hold it back from being a great album. And then ends with the Maureen Tucker classic, After Hours. Great album from 1969, the Velvet Underground's third album, self-titled Velvet Underground, coming in at number 4. Coming in at number 3, the last Beatles record ever released in their lifetime, or recorded, should I say, in their lifetime, Abbey Road. This has been talked about to death. I won't get way into it, but it certainly has. Its side 2 is probably one of the greatest sides ever made. Just a beautiful side because it's just transcendent. I love I Want You. She's so heavy. That guitar line at the end is so hypnotic. I never really liked Maxwell Silverhammer, but it doesn't take anything that much away from the album. One of Paul's best songs, I think, ever, You Never Give Me Your Money, with that 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever thing at the end with John and George singing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, great stuff. Love this album. Coming in at number 3, The Beatles, Abbey Road. Getting near the top 2 here. Number 2, an album I have played to death over the years. Neil Young's Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. It's almost like a garage rock classic. Cinnamon Girl, the title track, Round and Round, Down by the River, The Losing End, Running Dry, and Cowgirl in the Sand. A perfect record. Very raw. I think that's why I like it. Definitely more tame than what they would later become. Crazy Horse, like on Live Rust and Rust Never Sleeps, but just has that really cool garage rock sound. A classic album here from Neil. Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, coming in at number 2. And number 1 for me, it has to be this. One of my favorite albums of all time. And an album that should be really ranked in the top 10 albums of all time, along with all the other, standard albums like Highway 61 and What's Going On. Number 1 for me in 1969 is the Kinks, Arthur or the Decline and Fall of the British Empire. An amazing, amazing record from start to finish. Some of Ray Davies' best ever. Lyrics and melodies all on one record. It's a concept album. but I won't really get into the concept. You can read that on Wikipedia. But every song is just an amazing album. I won't go into it because I've mentioned this before in other videos, but this is my favorite album of all time, of 1969. From Victoria to Arthur, just a stunning record. So that's it, folks. Those are my top albums of 1969. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.